Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Milliken stand, where today we are presenting a presentation that is actually called Ever Decreasing Circles. We have for you three speakers, and they are presenting in our series of Tech Talks. They are experts in their field, and they are illustrating how Milliken works with experts, collaborations, they have initiatives, and they're all aimed at preparing for the future. Our three speakers, I'd like to introduce them to you, but I'll not introduce them in the order in which they will be presenting, because I believe that ladies go first. So on my right is Dr. Deirdre Sandrock, who is, and I have to look that up, Director of Sustainability and Innovation at Milliken. On my left is Gian, and I hope I say that correctly, De Belde. Gian is Technical Director, R&D Packaging Sustainability at Procter & Gamble, but he has a second job, and his second job is Chair Leadership Team at the HolyGrail 2.0. And last but not least is Nico van der Wallen, who is Product Circular Economy Manager at MCC Verstraeten. That's your panel for today. They're all going to give you a presentation, but before they do, we're going to give you a video first to set the scene.
What if packaging could tell us its story, what it's made of and how it can be recycled? With digital watermarks that cover the surface of plastic packaging, we will be able to tell what kind it is, the types of material and usage. This means packaging can be sorted much more accurately and quickly. What if we could use this technology on a large scale? With digital watermarks, packaging can be scanned on the sorting line with a high-resolution camera that detects then decodes the digital watermarks, accurately sorting them into different recycling streams, like whether it's food safe or not, or into its different polymer types. Can it be recycled back into a similar product, or maybe broken down into its components and used as a high-quality feedstock for new products? Testing is already underway with the HolyGrail 2.0 project. Semi-industrial trials for Phase 2 of the HolyGrail project are happening at the Amager Resource Center in Copenhagen. Over 125,000 pieces of packaging, from bottles to flexibles, will be used. Engineers will test the system's ability to withstand the pressures of full-scale industrial operations in 3 parameters: the speed at which the watermarks can be detected on the conveyor belt, the accuracy of watermark detection when mixed with general waste, and the technology's ability to detect and efficiently sort the packaging into its various streams. All parts of the plastics value chain need to work together to achieve maximum impact. The project aims to introduce digitally watermarked products to store shelves in Denmark, France and Germany in the first half of 2022 for in-market demonstrations and industrial-scale trials. And that makes us very excited. With intelligent waste sorting, better recycling can be a reality for a circular economy for plastic waste.
Good, so I will start with the introduction of the HolyGrail 2.0 program. Good. Yes, so indeed it's a program focusing on advanced sortation in order to improve the circular economy of packaging. The initiative itself, as you see, it's driven by the by AIM, so the European Brands Association, and also powered by the Alliance to End Plastic Waste. So let me first start with trying to explain a bit like what are we trying to tackle here, right? So what you see here is what I call the 5+1 model. So we as brand owners, we have to design our packages so that they can be recycled. We need to have a kind of an access to collection, then we need to convince consumers to do the right thing, then sorting, and then we need to find end markets for the PCR to be put back into packaging, for example. So What's missing today, it's really these two things, right? So enable and convince consumers to put the empty packages in bins, and then also sorting. And that's really today leading to very, very low recycling rates. So again, if I build up the slide, you see it here. But HolyGrail is really focusing on those two items as mentioned, and then finding end market, it's also very important, right? So on the slide, you see here a couple of examples of our products that contain already mechanical recycled PCR, and on top you see 100% PCR bottles, both in PET and HDPE. Also in films, we do have always there with 50%, and then also we are looking into the more advanced sources, advanced recycling sources, such as the one from Eastman, but then also PureCycle, which you also can find here on the booth. Right? So again, it's not a silver bullet. We are really focusing on these two items and to improve those two items. So again, let me start. What is a digital watermark? And I also will pass some of the samples over here. But basically, there are two major technologies. So the first one is really all about enhancing, I would say, labels. In this case, you see a sleeve. So we are playing a little bit with the pixelation of the sleeve. So think about I'm using the blue from the bottom and I put blue spots there, dots in the white area and vice versa. So that's one way to do it. And the other way is actually mold embossing, right? So here you see a PET bottle for our Unstoppable brand, and then we just have been embossing the mold, and every time I produce a bottle, actually it's coming out of the mold with a kind of a coating system. So those are the two major technologies. And then once we have done intelligent packaging, we then would install what we call add-on modules onto an existing near-infrared sorter in order to do a better sorting job, right? So the trick here is I'm not only relying anymore on a near-infrared fingerprint, but I basically can just sort on an SKU-based level. So each product, each SKU has its own identity. Now, this program has been growing a lot over the years. Obviously, we have our two partners sitting here, but in total, we are now 176 partners representing the full value chain, right? So there are resin producers, there's also fiber producers, there are the converters, so, such as MCC. We have master batch suppliers and additive suppliers like Milliken, and then obviously you see there also the waste managers are there and brand owners and retailers at the end as well. There's also some universities involved. So it's a true value chain collaboration program. So where do we stand, right? So HolyGrail 2.0 is still a kind of an R&D program. We started with an TRL, technical readiness level of roughly like 4, and we would like to bring it around TRL 8 to 9, which is basically developing a commercial machine. So in phase 1, we basically have been working together with two major machine vendors, so that's Tomra and Pelenk. And we have been, developing these type of add-on modules. Then phase 2 is basically what you've seen in the movie. So real testing, semi-industrial testing. So really checking the performances and the efficiencies. And we're now entering phase 3, and I will talk about phase 3 just in a minute as well. So these are the detection, ejection, and purity rates that we have been achieving. So those are the results on the left-hand side. Those were the average results we were getting out of the Copenhagen trial, the trials you've seen in that movie. And on the right, you also see others from trials we have been doing here in Germany with Tomra. And you clearly can see there is hardly any difference, right? So it means we are achieving very high detection and ejection rates, and also purity is in there. And all of these numbers were run at really industrial conditions. And so that makes it very, very interesting that you already can achieve these type of results in just one sorting step. So where are we going? As said, we now have entered phase 3. Phase 3 is all about an industrial phase, so large-scale testing in 3 countries. So all of the brand owners and the retailers, part of this program, were asked to put commercial product into market, so enhanced products, put them in the market. So you see samples here like these Lenore sleeved tubes, always films, and these type of things are now commercially here in Germany. And then we're gonna try to do detections at different steps at sorters, both MRFs and PERFs, and then also later on at recyclers. And so you will see there are a couple of locations. Again, I'm not going to go into the detail, but there are 2 major items that we're going to do here. So really, it's all about closing the loops. And one of the big testing we're going to do is trying to basically closing the loop on non-food PET bottles, right? So that's a major one. Another major one would be on closing the loop, for example, on flexible polypropylene films. But next to that, we're also going to focus a lot on then also sorting out everything which has been put into the market. You've seen on the previous slide, we have something roughly like 38 kilotons of advanced products into the marketplace. There's a lot of polypropylene rigids in there. So also part of the testing will be doing an efficient sorting step on polypropylene rigids, for example, to split food from non-food or even split according melt flow index. Yeah? So this technology allows you to do things, as said, which normally you can't do. And one of the examples specifically for polypropylene would be to split according melt flow index. Okay? And so I think, again, I'm not going to go into the details because my time is up. And so I'm just going to pass it over to the next speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. No need to introduce myself, as Willem already did. So just a quick word on MCC Label, which is actually the mother company of MCC Verstraete. MCC Label is a worldwide label producer. With labels we mean also sleeves, pressure sensitive in-mold labels, represented in 29 countries, and actually are the #1 label printer in the world, having a revenue today of $3 billion US. Myself, I'm working for MCC Verstraete, which is then the business unit for in-mold labels, which is our main business. Our headquarter is not in Chicago like it is for the mother company, but we are based in Belgium, in the famous city of Maldegem. And we have 2 Belgian sites where we produce in-mold labels. We have a site in US, in North America, and also one recently acquired in Australia. So also worldwide production closer to the customers and more sustainable. We have about 600 employees, and like I said, over 30 years of experience in in-mold labeling. In-mold labeling for the different market segments: injection molding IML, thermoforming IML, and also blow molding IML. And that's the correlation and the relationship we also have with Milliken. We are PP-minded people, yeah. Although that there is also solutions for polyethylene and also polyester in the future. Driven by sustainability, we have added 2 new product categories. First of all, we have heat seal die cut lidding, which is a 100% mono PP die cut lid, so that your entire packaging, not only the label, the tub, but also the lid, is 100% mono material. Sorting. Today we have still to work with near infrared. In the future, hopefully soon, we will have other possibilities with HolyGrail, with watermarks. And then last but not least, as there is also a trend towards non-plastic packaging materials, we also have developed a label solution, sustainable label solution for molded fiber labeling. But back to the topic of today, which is HolyGrail. And what is our involvement as MCC Verstraete or MCC Label in this really exciting project? Well, first of all, I think since day one, you always say you can blame Gian for have started this project. Well, I think we were also part of that blame. We are among the founding members of the HolyGrail project. Rememberable day, by the way. We are a member of the leadership team as well. And myself, I've been leading the work package 2, which was all about printing digital watermarks. And we will come back to that in a minute. Well, we all call ourselves, I think, HolyGrail 2.0 evangelists. Strong promoting, strong believing in the project, supporting it. Representing as such the IML market, but in a more broader perspective also the converting market. And you might have seen the Happy Cow packaging, which has become a little bit the packaging of the project. Gian wants to rebrand it into Holy Cow, but we have kept it so far with the Happy Cow, so we call ourselves the Happy Cow Farmers. Yeah. Good. So far our involvement, and why are we putting all that effort in it over the last couple of years? Well, first of all, we have a clear vision when it comes to sustainability. We want to be that our labels, part of the packaging, always ensure that the packaging is recyclable in practice. That's our core vision, recyclability. And for that, of course, like Gian already mentioned it, sorting is a very important step. There are many different steps. We have seen that in the whole program. in the whole loop, but sorting is key when it comes to recyclability. Taking responsibility as a company, we are a small part of the total supply chain, but we think that with supporting this project, we can make the difference. Collaboration, key, working together, yeah? Experts in the field, joining forces to come up with solutions. Yeah? All that to drive a circular economy. Again, when I focus on MCC Verstraete, Milliken also, our heart goes out to rigid PP and the need for a food grade RPP. Yeah, soon we will have the packaging and the packaging waste directive or regulation, whatever comes out. I think we will all be faced with the mandatory use of recycled materials, whether it's a food packaging or a non-food packaging. Hence the reason that this HolyGrail project is very important, because without HolyGrail, it will be very hard to get enough food-grade RPP on the market. Well, actually, more or less the same image like Gian already showed on the Lenore bottles. But I just want to extra mention as a printer that for watermarks, indeed, it's nothing to do with an extra ink or a special ink that you have to add to the process, which is very important because we're not going to add cost to your labels, because we can print the labels as we were printing them before, but the work goes into the enhancement, and the enhancement is actually a pre-press step. We're going to change the pixels, the pattern of the pixels in a way that there is a strong readable code in it, but it stays invisible or imperceptible, which is might be the better word for it. Yeah. And actually, it looks like any other packaging. So if you look to all the Milliken samples, and we have been proudly partnering with Milliken for producing all the samples here, all of them have a watermark in it. You most probably have not noticed it because you cannot see it. Yeah, but we have mentioned it on the label just to be sure that you don't forget about it. So each single of them can be scanned with your smartphone as well. I imagine that offers a lot of opportunities as consumers interaction. Now, work package 2, printing digital watermarks. So we had in total how many? 8, 9 work packages, I think. 8, yeah. So work package 2 was everything about 2D printed watermarks, and we were gathering actually with the official Digimark enhancement partners to really come up with better enhancement techniques. We're not going to hide it from you. In the beginning, having a strong readout was always working in the opposite way on imperceptibility. And you could have a very strong readout, but you saw the image changing. And I think, Gian, you still have one of the first fairy examples. Yeah. On top of that, it was quite challenging as we also have a metallized surface. Was working perfectly, but if you would compare it to the original one, Martin was not so happy with that. Yeah. But if you compare it now with the latest enhancement techniques, also on metallic surfaces, well, even marketing cannot notice the difference anymore. Yeah? And that was important to have buy-in from the marketing department. Marketeers, they are putting that much effort and money into that label design or that package design. Don't touch my design. Yeah, that's basically it. And that's what we were working towards. So it was low visual impact week in the past. Now we have found new techniques where you can have the combination of a strong signal and still have a really low or no impact on the original artwork. We even had the questions in the beginning, what in case I have almost no print on my label, no ink, white packaging? Well, we have a white happy cow here. Also, that one holds a watermark everywhere. So the whole printed surface can be scanned. No secrets there because we are opening the technology to everybody. That's very important to create that support. Here we have put a watermark in the varnish. So by leaving dots in the varnish, you're creating contrasts, and that creates a watermark. So you should not only think about print, but also with varnishes you can do a lot of things. Yeah. What about the black packaging? Yeah. Black cannot be seen by near infrared. This is HolyGrail-wise completely scannable. Still looks black, but there is a watermark in it. Yeah. Transparent packaging. You find, of course, a lot of transparent packaging here on this booth. Yeah. Also, that, of course, is also fully enhanced with a watermark. So that's the work we have been doing. Next, also to providing a quality check system. As an enhancement partner, you need to know what you're doing. You have to know that because it's not just pushing on a button. Yeah. It's really pre-press job that needs to be done perfectly. And then you have to control yourself, software. You have to know what will be the end result. Will it be working, yes or no, before you start to print, of course. You don't want to waste the money. And we also have created a design guide. Why? Well, also to have given the comfort to designers, to marketeers, how it works, to explain them, yes, it will not have an impact on your original design. And as part of the Copenhagen Phase 2 trials, we have been challenging the Happy Cow tubs. The original Happy Cow tubs, well, they only had a wraparound label. So the watermark was only in the wraparound label, as you can see it here. But this is not how a packaging ends up under the sorting unit. More likely, it will be any kind of odd shape, very polluted, dirt, and that's how we also have tested them, not like on the picture, but in the real thing. And we found out, as you can see, that we were below the average number of 99% detection rate. We were only at 94%, because when the package was going under the camera like this, it was not seeing a watermark. Now you can solve that. You can solve that by increasing your surface, and that's on the title. It's really maximizing surface coverage. That's what is very important. And you can do that in 2D, in printed watermarks, by adding a bottom label, for example, but also by printing on both inside and outside. And that you see has an increased score on the detection rates. What you also can do is have a combination of the 3D watermarks like Gian showed on the bottle. You can also do it in injection molding PP. You have a watermark, a 3D watermark on the inside. And there you go. Perfect example here running on the show.
Also maybe just pass it around.
Yeah.
So this is the samples that were that are injection molded live here at the show at the Hall 1 at Foboa.
Foboa booth. So imperceptible as well. You really have to look very carefully. Made a nice combination with the design, smart thinking. So you see that we have been working hard on enhancement techniques, making sure that your packaging, whatever shape it ends up, whatever pollution it has, is fully detectable by the HolyGrail sorting units. And if I'm not mistaken, over to you.
Thank you. So I'll just give a brief introduction of Milliken. Milliken's a global diversified manufacturing company. We operate in 70 plus global locations. We sell into the textile, chemical, and flooring industries. We are quite old. We've got a rich history of innovation that spans over 150 years. And specifically in the chemical business, we focus on bringing additives and technologies that we try to positively influence the global value chain. Downstairs in our booth, as Nico mentioned, you'll see a lot of examples of sustainable innovation placements of our NX8000 Eco Clarifier and our Hyperform technologies. Milliken, in our rich history of 150 plus years, we're very proud of our long held commitment to ethics, sustainability, environmental. But in 2018, we knew that we needed to do more. And so for the first time, we published a corporate sustainability report where we outlined our sustainability framework and the pillars of people, product, and planet. So people, we want to make sure that we take care of our employees and the communities that we operate in. Product, we want to make sure that we drive towards circular economies and that we ensure health and well-being with the products that we serve. And planet, we're looking to minimize our global footprint as we maximize our impact in the world. You'll see the net zero tile there that I'll comment on in a second. But we very much are specifically targeted on making sure that we drive and support sustainable certifications, investments. We're proud this year we upgraded our EcoVadis certification to a gold medal, which places us in the top 7% of companies assessed worldwide. And on Wednesday, just this week, our CEO announced our commitment to the SBTi Net Zero commitment, where we have committed to become a net zero company by 2050, which includes all scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions and near and long-term commitments. So with this eye on sustainability, we talked about the interconnectedness of all the different parts of the circular economy challenge. We want to focus on creating additives that drive positively towards circularity solutions, but we also know that we need to do more than that. And so one of our goals in that product category of our sustainability framework specifically focuses on convening thought leaders in the industry to drive towards end-of-life solutions for plastics. So we talk about building a circular economy requires a systems approach to change the way we look at design, waste, and materials. And I think you've heard that very clearly through Gian and Nico as they talked through their presentations. At Milliken, we take that quite seriously, and we've built a lot of partnerships through the industry in how, again, we're looking at each of the steps of the circular process and how we can help to use our influence and our expertise in certain of these areas to help to continue to push things forward, because you can make one part of it successful, but if another part of the circular system is broken, it's just not going to work. Gian mentioned PureCycle. Milliken is a key partner to PureCycle. We're very excited as their additive provider to partner with them and help bring their ultra-pure polypropylene resin to a reality. Likewise, that's why Milliken's involved in HolyGrail. We know that this is really going to be a key to unlock the success in the circular economy. I think the last thing that I'll comment on, and I think Nico did a great job selling Milliken for me, is, Milliken is really involved in this because we want realistic data to be able to demonstrate that our packaging is usable. People want clear plastic. There's a tremendous amount of trust, confidence, transparency, and the aesthetics of it that we want our brand owners and our designers to be able to use. And so partnering in the HolyGrail initiative, Milliken was able to use our NX8000 Eco technology to really push the limits of what the technology was capable of doing. Conceptually, it's easy when you put an opaque part there and you say, oh, you could hide a digital watermark on an opaque part. But then when you think about, putting it in a clear part, it conceptually is a lot more difficult. So it's been a great partnership to be able to figure out how far we could push the technology.
Indeed, yeah.
Great.
I was so fascinated that I actually find it very difficult to get up even. But what I was wondering, you talked about digital watermarking. I'm not sure who of you can answer this one, but are there any benefits specifically for, let's say, the brand owners or consumers? Or is this really something that is going to stay in the industry?
Yeah, so let me maybe get started. So, as you've seen from the presentations, the big focus is on advanced sortation, right? But there are many more use cases. So yes, interaction with the consumer, as you've seen, could become a reality as well, although we're still figuring out maybe the QR code is a better system because that's known to people. But it's all about traceability within the waste stream, right? So on the show here, you hear a lot about digitizing the waste streams because today it doesn't exist. And so think about offering a digital product passport in the future towards consumers, right? So they just can scan and they have full data on products, like what type of package is it? But more importantly, how shall I get it sorted in which type of bin and all of these type of things, right? So product passports is an important one for consumers, but then also a third very important case is also the value that it's going to bring for EPRs, right? So extended producer responsibility or packaging recovery organization, whatever we call them. Because today in the industry, nobody can say like that package has been collected for 60%, has been sorted for 70%, and has been effectively recycled. No single data is in there. So it's all about, bringing that type of data, and that's something that I think the HolyGrail platform can bring towards the industry, but also towards consumers.
Yeah. I always say that the beauty of this technology is that you can use it throughout the whole supply chain. Yeah. What Gian says, it's offering big data. Big data is what's going to drive future decisions. Big data for recyclers, big data for EPR systems, for brand owners, for marketeers even. How are people working with the packaging? How are they behaving? When are they consuming it? But also towards supply chain brand protection, for example. Having a watermark in your packaging can help you to protect your product. Anti-mixing. We have a demonstration in one of our expert talks that you can use the same watermark that is used for HolyGrail, because we're talking about the same. So one package being enhanced for sorting for HolyGrail can also be used with a camera system to detect, do I have the right label on my packaging? That's very important towards food safety, allergies, for example. You just not want to have the wrong product in the wrong packaging around the wrong product. So track and tracing is possible, anti-mixing is possible, consumer engagement, and last but not least, I would say, and then we have here a very beautiful case in Germany, that also retailers can make use of it. So if a retailer has a cash register system adapted to reading watermarks, which is basically an upgrade on the software, then they can use the whole packaging in no matter what way as for the checkout. It goes up to 20% faster checkout, which is saving them a lot of time and money, of course. Less mistakes are happening. And that's been widely already used by different retailers in America and also in Europe. And then the watermark will not give the digital recycling passport, we will tell the cash register system how much it costs. Yeah. So depending on your interaction you're having, you will get with the same code different data being supplied to a machine, a consumer, and so on. So I always say that that's the beauty about this technology. You can do, I will not say everything with it, but a lot.
I wonder if there's anyone in the audience who has any questions.
This is looking really cool. Just wondering, so you've sorted your material, you've got your bale of material. In terms of that then getting traced to the next step, how are you proposing to take that data and take it up to that aggregated level?
So from the sorting to the recycling. Yeah. Well, I think we will work with the central database. Yeah. So very important that it's not going to be an offline system. It will have a central database. We are talking and closely working together with GS1 for that. Because they are providing already a database, an extended database to the supply chain. And it would, I think, very smart just to work and add on that platform. And then everybody can have access to his part of the data. And also people that are doing the recycling can see what has been sorted. So really, each bill can actually be more or less have also a digital recycling passport telling what's in this bill. Yeah, you can even think about that step.
I think that's the most important one, right? So the sorters now have access to all the data. They create a bill, they send it to the recycler gets the bill with a kind of a certificate of analysis, and he knows exactly what's in that bill.
Yeah, right? On the SKU level. Huh?
Yeah.
Thanks for a very interesting presentation, and I think it's very exciting for the future. Just to ask you, with regard to the technology for the 2D watermark itself, I know that you had mentioned that you have a leaning towards polypropylene. Does it work equally well with all packaging materials? I mean, polyethylenes, linear lows. What about linear low film packaging, for example? Are there any issues, or is it equally beneficial in all cases?
Yeah, this is an example of low density polyethylene, right? So it doesn't matter where you put it on, right? I mean, we have put it on liquid carton boards whatsoever, right? So the trick for 2D, at least, is just in the printing process. And so we have been, evaluating, I think, most of the printing processes so far, and all of them can, print it, and the watermarks are still readable, right? So in that term, I don't think we have encountered any challenge.
We have had good results with different ink sets, with different printing techniques, ranging from digital to rotogravure, flexible packaging, rigid packaging, different packaging materials. Shrink sleeves, of course, a little bit more challenging, but as the image has to look right after applying a shrink sleeve, the watermark just follow that shrinkage and also should automatically look right. So also that is mastered, and enhancement should not keeping you any longer from doing that. Really, we took a lot of steps there. Yeah.
Thank you.